Hey there, this is Brett Trembly with another episode of Unapologetically Awesome.
Everything is awesome.
Today we're talking about one of our clients who went through a pretty intense litigation battle. This client has actually identified themselves in a Google review, and we're going to read the review and then tell you more about her case and talk about the impact that it had on her and then what we did about it and how we helped her. So it's a breach of contract case from Little Star Daycare. Here's the review. Trembly Law Firm, where do I begin? This firm comes with a personal touch, trustworthiness, dedication, honesty, and knowledge. What more could you ask for? I'm going to skip to the end of the review because it's quite long. She says, this firm successfully represented my business after a horrific 3-year struggle and returned my family's peace of mind for the first time. I wholeheartedly recommend Trembly Law and his expert staff. I'm eternally grateful for your help. You are the best, and I'm proud to have you representing my business. So first of all, thank you so much for that review. Second of all, this was a breach of contract case where a client purchased a business from the seller, and there were some contingencies involved. And the seller then later tried to void the contract and take the business back, making some obviously unfounded accusations against our client. And so a few things are important here. One, when you're buying or selling a business, you have to be very careful. This was not even a very big transaction. In fact, the amount of money that our client spent on the litigation was about 4 times as much as she even spent for the entire business. And that's just sad. It's unfortunate. You want to make sure you have really good representation at the sale of the business. But even with a very good contract, sometimes you just have someone that's going to sue you anyway, claim that you breached the contract and make accusations. And that's what happened here. In fact, this is all public record, by the way, so we could talk about these things in case you're wondering about attorney-client confidentiality. We even had this case basically almost settled, and then the plaintiff reneged, and we went through a full trial. Trials are very expensive, and they take a lot of preparation work, but we came out with a pretty fast and complete defense verdict so that my client and her family, she said, had peace of mind for the first time in a lot of years. And it was a very personal battle for us because the attorneys on the other side did a lot of things that we didn't agree with. There were, unfortunately, this can happen in litigation, but dirty tactics, things being done that are really unfair and uncouth and unprofessional.
But all I did was tell the truth.
Of course you did, but there's the truth and the truth.
We had a judge who made rulings and then turn around and change rulings. But despite those things that were unfounded and unfair stacking up against us, when you get to a jury, you get to have your peers decide who's right and who's wrong. And that's exactly what happened for us. And we had a verdict in our favor. One of the sweeter verdicts we've ever had. I mean, we really celebrated this thing because it was a tough case with very unreasonable, unprofessional opposing counsel.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
There are just awful, unprofessional attorneys that are part of life that you have to deal with. And if you're sued by a client or somebody that's represented by one of these attorneys, it sucks and it's not fun to deal with. And then if you get somebody on the side that really doesn't have anything to lose, it makes settling the case difficult. And so all those things can really play into how much a case costs. At the end of the day, if you know you're right in your heart of hearts, then you have to do what's right. And it really gave us one of the more satisfying trial verdicts that we've had. It's so satisfying to help a client who's in the right, who's been getting a raw deal, eventually win. And again, most cases settle.
Maybe a settlement.
Oh, yes, settlement!
This one didn't. We stuck it through to the end, and we ended up with a very happy client, a great result, and that ends in a great review like we just got. So that's it for this one. If you learned anything, it's be careful who represents you during contracts. Just because you're not spending a lot on the business purchase doesn't mean you don't need really good representation, and you need to spend the right amount of money to get a really good contract in place. Don't skip out there. Make sure you're dealing with a good firm or a good business attorney. and make sure that you put in the necessary effort into protecting yourself ahead of time. Because as we've always said, reactive legal costs like litigation are 10 times as expensive as proactive legal measures. So protect yourself, work with good people, and you will save yourself a lot of heartache. So if you have comments or questions, please let us know below, and thanks for listening.